Today I have a rather interesting 500 telephone to show you all. This is an ITT Model 500 telephone from the year 1982. And, you know, at first glance, it looks like your typical Model 500. But right off the bat, you'll notice that on the dial, you have numbers only bezel. So this telephone, looking at the seller's photos where I got it from eBay, um, it was definitely not used here in the United States. It was used in the country of Uruguay, or as the Spanish speakers say, Uruguay. And the only reason why I can tell you that is that it was used, or there's a stamp on the bottom of the phone, or molded lettering that says spells ANTEL, which is Antel, and that is an acronym for Administración Nacional de Telecomunicaciones. It is Uruguay's government-owned telecommunications company, which they were founded in 1974, and they spun off from UTE, which was then a monopoly, which is the National Administration of Power Plants in Electrical Transmissions. So, and then it became Ontel, so they're no longer a monopoly. And the UTE had the monopoly of the landline telephone or telecommunications since the year 1931. So I'll show you around here. I'll get to I'll show you the bottom of the phone in a minute, but you can see that it's a numbers only dial. So, of course, down in many foreign countries, they don't use lettering on their dials or in their phone numbers. And many of these telephones are in many countries of South America, such as Chile, and some of them still have their number cards with the blank area code on it, and this one of course doesn't have a number card, so I'm assuming that's what kind of number card it had. And then you also had, for example, in Chile, they had their own number card that they placed in their telephones if they had the ITT Model 500s. Now, some of these were Stromer Carlsons as well. Some Stromer Carlson 500s did end up down in South America, and this one, of course, happens to be the ITT 500. There's still a bit of a difference on this telephone, though. Let me show you the bottom of the phone. I have the cover off, so I'll show you everything in a minute. But you can see that it is not your normal metal bottom plate here, but it's all plastic. And you have this little lever here that adjusts the ringer. So you have it quiet and loud. And then you have these little tiny holes here in place of those little, where the holes are in the metal. They're just tiny little holes for the ringer. And you can see you have some engraved lettering. Someone had taken an engraver tool and put these numbers in here. So you have the 25th of February 1985, and then you also have, I'm guessing, August 1983. There are some, I'm thinking this is mostly 1982 or 1983, I could be wrong. But if you look here, you have Ontel, and that is the only indication that tells me that this was used in Uruguay. And I don't believe there were any 500s here in the States that had this type of plastic bottom. I'm assuming this was made here in the States, but I'm guessing imported down there, or they made them under license of ITT. I'm not sure. There's not a lot of history on the model of telephones of South America, so this is just an educated guess, because most telephones down in South America were either imported or made under license by another company. So I'll flip the phone back over. Now, the dial does not spin like a normal 10 pulse per second dial. And looking at the dial closely, it doesn't look like it's been changed around or anything. And I'll just show you. I'll show you. The dial spins really, really fast, like a 20 pulse per second dial. And I know I haven't done a video of it yet, but I have that phone from Columbia, which is a Siemens 111 master set that has a fast dial on it. So I'm guessing the phone company that it was, you know, used on, you know, the Ontel. I guess some of their equipment where their central offices or however it worked down there required a 20 pulse per second dial. And I don't know if this was either used in an office or a private company. I'm assuming it might have been a private residence because it has your normal cord on it, but I can't really tell, you know, because there really is no difference in this telephone because it's a normal single line telephone. So you got a fast Model 9C dial, which is like the Western Electric. Nothing's been bent in the spring of the governor, so it looks like it's built that way to be fast like that. So I think that's pretty interesting. You got your normal ITT logo on the G-style handset, and this telephone is kind of a, I guess it's a white telephone or a tan. I'm not very sure because I'm inside and it's not natural light right now. It's in the evening. So let me flip it around here. Nothing any different with this telephone as far as logos. And there's no damage in the phone, which is nice. It's always a plus to not have anything arrive damaged. Cords are in good shape. I might install a new RJ11 jack on here without having to get a junction box because I have plenty of those RJ11 plugs that I can put on there. So let me put the cover off. So when I first opened this phone, everything except for the ringer is loose. So someone had been messing around with this phone for some reason, trying to rewire it. But you can look at the dial here. Let's look at it first. It's a 1983 dial. Take the dust cover off. One interesting thing, I don't know if it happens with the American ITT phones, but this surround thing where this governor is white. Usually they're black. So I don't know if that's just how they made them, if they were made down in Uruguay or some country in South America. But interestingly, that is white. Usually here in the States, they're black. So that is interesting. There's what the... Now, looking at closely, you can see that top part where the spring is attached to the governor. It looks like to have been slightly bent down a bit, but I don't know if that was... I can't really tell if anybody messed with that. It really is not easy to tell about that, but I think even if you were to bend it back to where it originally was, it would still be a fast dial. And there's the lettering. Got the ITT on the main gear. And then there's your contacts. Let me spin the dial for you. It's gonna be really, really fast. And I was dialing to 0. Even judging by the sound of it, I think it's originally that fast. Because if you were to speed up a normal 10 pulse per second ITT dial such as this, it would have kind of a high-pitched whining sound. And this has just kind of a whir sound. So I think that's how it's supposed to be. But you can see that the network is loose. It needs to be snapped back into place. I'm glad no clips are broken because these tend to break if you try to pry it off. You got your normal ITT ringer. It's got a plastic apparatus, and there is there's the coil. yeah, so that's all there is as far as the workings of the telephone. And then they have these interesting inserts here for the cords. They're shaped like the exact mouse hole on the housings where the cords come out, so they don't go around loose. Excuse me. Okay, and the same thing here. And it just slides into place and you're done. So it really isn't easy to tell, but I found it to be a very interesting phone. Yeah, granted it's a plastic bottom, but you know, that's what makes it different than what I'm used to seeing on these ITT 500s. And I do know here in the States that they have these with the plastic bottoms, but they're made by some other company. I think Onyx Telecommunications, and they were out of I think Brooklyn, New York. But I would think that they would have their sticker on the bottom for that. So this is an actual ITT, I'm guessing. There's the inside of the housing. There are no markings. There are no evidence. There's no evidence of residue from a wiring diagram. Usually in foreign telephones, they either stick in or they fold up a wiring diagram inside the telephone. I know some of the phones here in the States were like that, but most of these later phones had a wiring diagram inside. So this one happens to not have one. So yeah, interesting phone. I have another phone from Uruguay. It's a German Alpha telephone from that was made in the German Democratic Republic, East Germany. But I have never been able to get it to work because it has a bad PC board in it. So it's just sitting on the shelf waiting to be worked on, or trying to find a replacement for that. But yeah, interesting stuff to look at. Make sure that's in place. Nope. I did not snap it back into place. This dial was even loose like this when I opened it up. So always learning something new about these telephones, and you never really know what you're gonna find next. Let me put that back there. Okay, now we can finally put the cover back on. I'll have to snap those back in after I clean this up. Goes in like that, and there you go. So that is a ITT Model 500 from Uruguay, used under ANTEL, the Administración Nacional de Telecomunicaciones. So if I have any new information, I'll share that in the final video. But since I showed you all the inside of the telephone, there will be no pictures at the end. So expect a final checkout video, and of course I have other videos to show you of other phones I have in the collection. So hope you enjoy, and thank you very much for watching.